Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And this one may come as a bit of a surprise. It's a slightly older recording, maybe a little bit, anachronistic by today's standards. But here it is. Handel Overtures, featuring the English Chamber Orchestra and, in one bit, the New Philharmonia under Raymond Leppard. And this is really kind of interesting. I mean, it's very interesting to me. I loved this record from the day it was issued. 10 overtures. It's the biggest collection of Handel overtures I think anybody ever did. There was one with Trevor Pinnock that had a very different selection and fewer pieces. You know, there's a lot more Handel orchestral music than you think there is. With, most of the time, it's either the water music or the fireworks music, and maybe an organ concerto or two. But, there are also the concerti a due cor, those wonderful works, and a whole bunch of other strange odds and ends that fly around the Handel work list. What's the Handel Verzeichnis, whatever the H numbers, whatever numbers you use for Handel. But there's a lot. There really is a lot. There's a lot of instrumental music or orchestral music in his operas. I mean, Il Pastor Fido is half a ballet practically. I mean, it's dance music and all kinds of stuff. There's a beautiful ballet, actually two of them, in Ariodante. So there is Handel orchestral music. We just don't hear it. We don't play it. And it's really kind of a shame because it's Handel and it's wonderful. His overtures are all overtures in the French style. That is, they begin with a march and kind of jerky rhythms, da, ba da da, da da da, da da da, followed by a fugal thing. But some of them are even bigger than that. Some of them are in multiple movements and have dances. And there's really a world waiting to be explored. And when this first came out, this was sort of all there was. And it was very well done. Raymond Leppard was a fabulous Handelian. He recorded the complete orchestral music for Philips, a wonderful set. Fortunately, it wound up on CD for 10 or 12 minutes if you snagged it. I did. This was in it. But this is the separate release. I don't know if you can find it. I really don't. But there are some major works here. I mean, let me tell you what you get. You get the overtures to operas you haven't heard of, oratorios that no one had heard of, Lotario, Esther, Admetto, Alcina, Orlando, Porro, Partenope, I don't know how you pronounce that, Ottone, Ariodante, which is fabulous, and Il Pastor Fido. I mean, isn't that an incredible selection of works you probably didn't know? And this disc functioned really as a wonderful entree into getting to know some of these pieces. I mean, at the time that this was made, most of these had never been recorded, certainly not the operas. Even Esther was very much a rarity. And so you didn't really get to hear any of this stuff aside from these overtures, and it whetted the appetite for what would come later. They're delicious little Baroque gems. They don't ever get played in concerts. Even period instrument groups seldom do them. It sort of blows my mind. You know what it's like? I'll tell you what it's like. It's very much similar to Rimsky-Korsakov, who wrote tons and tons and tons of orchestral music, which you find in his operas. And, of course, there are suites. Rimsky-Korsakov was smart enough to make suites out of a lot of them. Handel didn't. But at least it's there. And most of his actual orchestral music, Rimsky-Korsakov's orchestral music, it's limited to Scheherazade and the Russian Easter Overture and the Capriccio Espagnol. That's like about it. But there's tons more. And that's true of Handel as well. Now, some of these are major works. I mean, major works. They're big works. You could play them at a concert and they would go over really, really well, even with modern instruments, because they're mostly scored for basically just strings and oboes or something like that. Some of them are a little bit more, but basically. And you've got, let me see here. I mean, Esther, it's 8 minutes long. We're just going by timings just to show you that they're serious moves. They're as long as Beethoven's overtures. They get played all the time, for example. And let's see, it's Alcina is 7 minutes and 7.5. Orlando is 6. Partenope or whatever it is 7.5 minutes. Ottone is just a few seconds shy of 8 minutes. I mean, they're big and fulsome because Handel always he's got lots of notes, good notes. So this is really a disc to cherish. I think that when I first came out, I remember I was like, wow, look at all that. Handel wrote all these things. I was a kid. I didn't know any better, really. None of the operas were being performed or recorded. And this was something that whetted the appetite. And I got it way back when. When was this recorded? In 71. And one of them, Il Pastorfido, was in 67. Well, I didn't get that one because I was 6 in 1967. So it was later in the 70s. And let's see, Ariodante was 78. But about, I don't know, sometime in the 80s, I finally got my hands on this stuff. And it got me interested in the Handel operas and these other works, because now I knew that they existed. And, where do you find information like that? The internet didn't exist. Think about it for a minute. These were so important. And Leppard was as I said, a wonderful Handel conductor. His performances are lively and stylish and beautifully done. And I think this is unquestionably one of the greatest recordings ever. So bravo to Leppard and the English Chamber Orchestra. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.